I think you got to go Derrick Henry here. Here's the thing. I was between him and Jonathan Taylor, right? We kind of talked about it.
Yeah.
The thing about Derrick Henry is when you talk about value, I think that team is very Derrick Henry reliant.
Yes.
Like, they might be able to get to 9, 10 wins if he has a good season. If he doesn't, if he's not effective in every single game, they could go 8-9, which we predicted him at, even 7-10.
Yeah.
Where they're very, very Derrick Henry reliant, which I don't like. But at the end of the day, he is the most valuable player in this division. He probably will put up pretty good stats because he always does. He's the bell cow back.
For sure. I mean, he's so good. His speed right off of the line of scrimmage is what blows me away. And then how he can just rip through the defensive line. I mean, it's really hard to get him down. The stuff that usually guys will get tripped up, a little bit wrapped up, Derrick Henry doesn't. And the film shows it. So, I mean, we've seen it time and time again. He has led this offense for, however long he's been there at this point. I don't see that changing. Derrick Henry, MVP.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's go with Offensive Player of the Year. I think, like I said, we were between Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor for MVP, so I think you got to give Jonathan Taylor the Offensive Player of the Year here. And also, there's not a whole lot of offensive firepower in this division, right? I mean,
no.
You lost A.J. Brown, so that's out. Derrick Henry is good, but we have him at MVP already. The Colts lack a big-time receiver. I think Michael Pittman's good, but I don't think he's quite Offensive Player of the Year yet.
And I think,
the Jags, I guess Christian Kirk, but he's not quite there yet either. And the Texans are pretty devoid of talent, so I think by default, Jonathan Taylor, but that's not taking anything away from him. He's a really good back as well.
No, yeah, I definitely agree. But the other name that I would think about and look at is Matt Ryan. But
yeah.
I think he's going to be good, but we haven't seen him play for this team yet in Indianapolis. So it's going to be interesting to see. Now, could he end up being the offensive player? Sure. But, he was great when he was in Atlanta, too, and they don't have too much to show for it.
Right, exactly. All right, Defensive Player of the Year. Let's go Kevin Byrd, the safety for Tennessee. He's probably a top 3 safety in the league. I think he was rated number 1, actually, last year. Again, not a whole lot of, defensive firepower. I like, some defensive linemen from Indianapolis. I like Darius Leonard. He's up there as well, but I think safety and linebacker are both relatively non-valuable positions, right? I think you pay corner, edge rusher, left tackle, and quarterback, maybe wide receiver then next. But I think what he does with taking the football away and who he's able to cover, he can cover tight ends pretty well. And so his ability to kind of act as a DB sometimes, as a cornerback, is quite impressive, and that's kind of what sets him apart. So I think Defensive Player of the Year for Kevin Byrd makes sense.
Yeah, he's really that bright spot on the Tennessee defense.
Absolutely, because their secondary is kind of weak outside of him.
It really is, yeah. So when you're looking to cover those better receivers, he's going to be your last resort,
right?
Really, up down in the secondary of that defense, and he's going to need to make some picks and really make some noise because
it's underwhelming, I would say.
Very much so.
All right, breakout player. I think Trevor Lawrence. I really do. So I think whenever Doug Peterson gets there, well, he's already there. Whenever the season starts, for first season with Doug Peterson, you're going to see a lot of timing, rhythm throws. You've already seen a lot more play action, right? Defined reads for Trevor Lawrence to kind of get that confidence up, get him feeling it, start to get that progress going. The offense is going to be clever. We saw it. I referenced it earlier. The whole trick play, in the Super Bowl against Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, right? You're going to see him push the envelope, be a little bit more aggressive in situational moments. And I think T-Law is going to have a pretty good season, and he's going to continue to grow. But again, not a great roster. I think 6-11 feels right. The following year, I can see them being more improved, but for right now, Trevor Lawrence is the breakout player.
Yeah, I definitely see him, at least himself, popping more than he did last year. And
Hopefully.
And that's not all on him from last year either, because of everything that circulated through there. It's a different team now. When you come from stability like Clemson, you come out, you're the number 1 draft pick overall. Everybody knows it. Nobody's going above you.
Right.
And you come from that and you go into a Jacksonville. That's a big change in just culture itself. So now 2 years in the system, and at least in the organization, new system, but same organization.
Right.
And a
little more comfortable.
A little more chemistry. The guys have gelled a little more. So this is the year. Next year is going to be the big year for Jacksonville.
Yeah, I agree. And it's kind of crazy, but for Jacksonville, we mean big year, like maybe have a winning record.
Yeah, like 9-8.
All right, Coach of the Year. So now it's hard to give Coach of the Year to a guy who's going to lead him to a 6-11 record. But I think what Doug Peterson's going to do as a stepping stone for this organization going forward, right? They're at ground -7, right?
Oof.
And so whenever he gets them up to ground 0 for this upcoming year, right, it's going to be a slower build. I think the stepping stone and the progress that you're going to see this year is going to warrant Coach of the Year. I think they're going to be in almost every football game. I don't think they're going to get blown out much, maybe a couple times early in the year. But I think overall they're going to be in a lot of football games, and I think that's going to be due to Doug Peterson and also the development that he's able to instill in Trevor Lawrence. So I think it's weird giving a Coach of the Year to a 6-11 coach, but I do think that the development that he's going to get into this Jacksonville team is going to be
where we're predicting them. Yeah.
Right. I think that's going to be crucial. So I think Doug Peterson, Coach of the Year, breakout Trevor Lawrence, Defensive Player of the Year Kevin Byrd, Offensive Player of the Year Jonathan Taylor, and MVP Derrick Henry for the AFC South.
Yeah, this division is definitely a little more offensively loaded for sure. I mean, like, you don't think of any of these teams and think, "Ooh, great pass rush" or solid secondary, you know?
Right.
I don't know. It's a very offensive division.
Yeah, and even then, it's just a weak division.
It is.
It's a weak division.
It is. I mean, when the Colts and the Titans are battling it out at 10-7, 8-9, 9-8, maybe for the Titans.
It's not ideal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,